have this gentleman on the broadcast with me. I know he's he's going to laugh when I say gentleman probably, but Danny Thome here with me on the broadcast, DMT-Squared. He's Daniel Michael. I'm Daniel Michael. Our last names both start with a T, and we had a great night last night and got to go to sleep with a victory. My Arizona Diamondbacks pulling off a win in Game 1, and his Philadelphia Phillies doing the same thing. So we are here to speak on the DBacks, the Phillies, and Major League Baseball's wild card round with Danny Thome, the owner of the Wildcat Sports Pub, who we are working with now in our 8th year with the Wildcat. So, Danny, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. You know that I'm feeling well. I'm doing well as long as, we're doing what we need to be doing. We're winning the games that, are in front of us, and there's one more to go. What I'm happy about, and you and I talked about this months ago, is you said, this was probably 3 months ago, 2-3 months ago, you said if the Phillies and the Diamondbacks make it and they play each other, we'll go. And what I'm really excited about is last night I saw a Phillies win and a Diamondbacks win, and they didn't affect each other. So congratulations on both of our teams last night.
Yeah, last night was, I know it's just the first round of the playoffs. I think the Phillies have some expectations this year, and expectations can never be a good thing. Yeah. So last year, their miraculous run to the series, nobody had them going to the World Series. Nobody had them getting past the Braves or even than the Padres. This year, the Marlins scare the heck out of me because, the Marlins aren't supposed to be there. And last night it was great to see the crowd in Philadelphia screaming, yelling, 42,000 people. I wish I were there. I wasn't. I did make a new friend last night at the restaurant that I was at watching the game, and of all things in the world, it's me and my son and this one guy sitting at a bar, and this one guy was a diehard Phillies fan. Yeah. Never met him before, from Binghamton, New York. So it was a good time to hang out with a fellow Phillies fan last night and watch them win.
Yeah, and you've been how many years can we put together here that you've been a Phillies fan?
I've been a Phillies fan since I'm going to say 1983, 1984.
Okay.
So that's what's that? 40 years.
Yeah.
40 years.
So you've been a Phillies fan since before I was born.
Yes, you're a lot younger than me.
So, and I've been a Diamondbacks fan since day zero, since they came into the league in 1990. Yeah. When they came in 97, I was 12 years old, 11 going on 12.
Okay.
So.
You're a lot younger than me.
Yeah. Not too much, Danny. You don't show it. That's the good part of it. You don't show it. So how this season shook out, there's a lot of questions that I put out there to people, and I want to pose these questions to you and get your thoughts. In the American League, Gerrit Cole, is he the runaway Cy Young, in your opinion? If you were sitting there voting today, was there anybody in the American League that was a better pitcher than Gerrit Cole?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I'm going to say no. I think he's a lock for the Cy Young. I think Shohei's a lock for the AL MVP. I think the Rookie of the Year, everything I'm seeing. I don't watch a ton of American League Baseball, but Hunter Henderson for the Orioles, really good year. So that's probably the 3 award winners, the big award winners for the American League.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll see.
And then on the National League side, I had posed 4 different potential NL Cy Young award winners, and I wanted to get your take on this. I had Blake Snell of the Padres out there. I had Zach Gallen of the D-backs. I had Spencer Strider of the Braves, and I also had one more guy. It was, oh man, and I'm going to forget it, but it was one of the Cubs guys, the Cubs ace that I had out there. So I had, I believe, Justin of the Cubs. I had him out there for it as well. So do you have, of those 4, that Justin Steele? So of Steele, Strider, Gallen, and Snell, if you had to pick for National League Cy Young, who would you pick this year?
I have to pick from those 4. I can't pick Zach Wheeler. Is that what you're telling me?
You can pick Zach Wheeler if you want to. I actually had somebody write in Zach Wheeler, so.
Yeah, I don't think Zach Wheeler is going to win the Cy Young. He's a heck of a starting pitcher, especially last night. Strider, he's the Braves. They got a lot of accolades this year. I know the voting closes before the playoffs. Playoffs don't really matter for the voting. I'd have to go with Strider, I think. As much as it pains me to go with a Brave, I just think what he did this year was amazing, and they got such a good team that I'm sure they're going to get a lot of postseason accolades.
So then let me throw this one your way then. Between the Yankees and the Mets, who in your opinion had the worst season based on expectation?
I like to say the Mets. I'm gonna say the Mets, and I just think it's because they won 100 games last year, right? Or they got to whatever 99, whatever they got to last year. I know they lost the NL East in the last weekend of the year last year. The Yankees, they laid an egg in the ALCS last year. I don't know. The Yankees always have. I don't know. That's tough. They both spent a ton of money. I'm going to go with the Mets just because they're in the same division as the Phillies, and I'm sure there's a lot of Mets lovers out there listening to you, but I'm sure they hate my Phillies as much as I hate their Mets. So I'm going to go with the Mets on that. We'll see what happens. I think getting rid of Buck Showalter was a horrible move. I think they did a good thing at the trade deadline by getting rid of Verlander and Scherzer. I think that was a smart move. I think they got a ton of good prospects, Acuna's little brother. But then they fired Buck. I don't get that move. I don't get it. Like, who are you going to bring in? Yeah. I mean, there's talk to Craig Counsell. He's without a contract after this year in Milwaukee. Okay, you bring him in. Okay. Other than that, who is there? And that's the thing that I don't really understand the reason behind it. I guess Alonso was incredibly upset that Buck got let go. So we'll see. I'm going to go with the Mets to answer your question, buddy.
Yeah, and I would agree too, because I think the Yankees, obviously they've been up and down over these last few seasons, and they haven't had the wow season in these last few years, and so I think the expectations maybe, obviously Yankee fans, like Duke fans or like Cowboy fans, every single year it's like, hey, we're winning a championship, but has it been realistic to say that about the Yankees in recent history? I would say no. So, I think the Mets really came into the season, and I would agree with you based on the fact that the Mets came in with a lot of hype, right? People thought bare minimum the Mets were going to make the playoffs, if not have a run at the World Series, and they just outrageously underperformed this season. And I think that, that's obviously something that they're going to have to figure out. Changing, your leadership amidst all of this could actually put them behind the 8 ball even more going into 2024. So I would agree with you that I don't necessarily agree with that move as well. But within your division, you have the Marlins, who have found their way into the postseason. You have the Nationals, who underperformed. You have the Mets, who underperformed. You have the Braves, who just kind of caught fire and continue to move forward after winning the World Series a couple years ago. And then you have your Phillies. How would you define the National League East when this division a couple years ago, it looked like nobody wanted to win it and they were just kind of handing it to each other? And now we see, Atlanta being as strong as they have been. And I know you and I were talking about it off the air, that you think the Braves maybe have a lot of hype that they're not going to live up to.
Well, I think the Braves are going to be good for quite a few years. The young talent they got, that they lock up, they're a very well-run organization, probably the best-run organization in baseball, maybe alongside the Astros. They don't overspend for players. They grow from within. That's one way to run a business, and it's a great way to run a business. The other way is what the Mets have done, and they went out and they spent a ton of Cohen's money, and, just because you spend money doesn't mean that you're going to put a championship team on the field. You have to have that team. You can even look at the Padres, right? The Padres spent a ton of money. The Padres made the NLCS last year. The Padres' expectations this year were to go to the World Series, and they didn't make the playoffs. So just because you have money doesn't mean you're going to necessarily win, and you could throw the Yankees into that bucket, the Red Sox, and the Phillies into that bucket. Look what the Phillies spent. Now, the Phillies have a little bit of a cross-pollinating with they have some homegrown talent in Bohm and Stott. And then they went out and spent some money on some big names, obviously Harper and Castellanos and Schwarber and Real Muto. So I don't know what the right way to do it is. That you could argue anyway. Look at the Orioles this year, right? They're all a bunch of young kids.
Yeah.
And they won 100 games this year with Rushman and Gunnar. And it's like, I don't know what the right way is. I just know in the NL East, it's a very tough division. It's going to be a very tough division for years to come with Atlanta and what Atlanta does year in, year out. The Marlins they're young, they're hungry. I don't think they're going to go spend money. They may dump a lot of their young studs after this year, next year, but it's going to be fun for a while. I just hope Philadelphia can hang on. I had some lean years rooting for the Phillies, I can tell you that.
Yeah. And I mean, when you talk about the Baltimore Orioles here with Danny Thome, the owner of the Wildcat Sports Pub and an avid Phillies fan, as we're inside of the wild card in Major League Baseball, taking a look at the Baltimore Orioles, who you had mentioned, they have the third lowest payroll in baseball in 2023, $71 million when you put it all together. When you see that, because some people say, oh, if you spend the money, then you got to be winning, right? The Yankees, people used to say, oh, they're buying championships, or the guys are going out and getting. The Mets have spent the most money this year, over $343 million. The Yankees are two at $279, Padres $256. None of those teams made the postseason. The next two teams are the Rangers, who have spent $251 plus, and your Phillies, who spent over $245 million to have the fifth highest payroll. What does it say about baseball that the three highest payroll teams did not even sniff the postseason, and the Baltimore Orioles are a number one seed, and they have spent the third least amount of money in the entire league?
Yeah, and the Phillies are a 4 seed, and the Rangers were a 6 seed.
Yeah.
So it's not like they were both 1 seeds spending that money. It just says that you don't need to spend money. If you have the right people enroll, it's just like any business. It could be my business, your business, whatever. If you have the right people enroll and you let them do what they need to do, you don't need to spend the $370 million, whatever these numbers are. So my hat's off to the Orioles. I would like to see the Orioles in the World Series. I'd like to see the Phillies obviously play the Orioles. I think that'd be a nice competitive rivalry, being that they're so close to each other. It would be a repeat of the 1983 World Series, which the Phillies lost to the Orioles. So I think there's a lot of value there. The only thing that worries about the Orioles is they are so young. I mean, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe there's no experience there, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe they just come out and they steamroll through and they win the whole thing. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see as we step forward. I want to, before we end this up, Danny, and we get ready for Game 2 of both of our series, your Phillies going to be at home in this next game against the Marlins. If they win, the series is over and belongs to the Phillies. If they lose, there's a Game 3 on Thursday. Same thing for Arizona. Arizona playing on the road in Milwaukee. So I'm gonna throw you a curveball here. I want you to say something nice about my Diamondbacks, and I'll say something nice about your Phillies.
The Diamondbacks, what nice can it's not that there's nothing, I don't say anything bad about the Diamondbacks. I mean, there's nothing bad to say. I mean, I don't know a heck of a lot about him. I think Corbin Carroll's going to win the Rookie of the Year. There's a nice thing. I mean, I think he has had a great season. I think he needs to get rid of his mustache, but he's had a great season. There you go. Corbin Carroll will win the Rookie of the Year. And listen, I would like to see the Diamondbacks knock out the Brewers, and I would like to see the Diamondbacks knock out the Dodgers. I would like to see that. Here's my nice thing about the Phillies that I'll say.
Okay, one, they have one of my closest and nearest and dearest people in business and out of business as one of their number one fans. So I will say that nice thing about you, Danny. The other thing that I'll say about the Phillies is that I've experienced going and watching the Phillies live in their stadium. And I think you and I were talking about...
Did I know that?
You didn't know that. No, you didn't know that I went out there. So when I was working at ESPN in Pennsylvania, we had a luxury box, and I guess the client decided not to take it that day. So we took the Hummer and drove out there to Philadelphia. And we went and sat in the box. Phillies were playing the Mets. It was a really closely contested game, and I think it came down to 5-4. And I will say that the experience of being down there is very different. And these are like Ryan Howard days and Chase and all that. Yeah. So, I mean, being around the team then was a lot of fun. But what I'll say about the Phillies is I feel like if you don't have a dog in the race, they're an easy team to love because as much as people might be looking at them more so this year than they were last year when they were sneaking up on people, I still think that they're like that underdog and they can be that fan favorite. So what I'll say about the Phillies as an organization, they're fun to watch, they're exciting to watch, and I genuinely hope that they win all the way through to if they play the Diamondbacks, not then, but up until then. But I will say this to you, if your Phillies and my Diamondbacks advance to face off against each other in this year's postseason, can we handshake over the phone that we'll actually make the effort to get out to one of those games?
Yeah, so my plans tentatively are to go down next week to the DS against the Braves. They play Wednesday and third. Well, Wednesday would be game 3. Now, listen, I'm not trying to put the horse behind the cart or whatever the saying is here. They got to beat the Marlins. We say this all the time in sports, right? You got to take care of the business in front of you.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, they get past the Marlins. My plan is to go down Wednesday. They'd be playing the Braves Wednesday. Now, there may not be a game 4 if the Braves sweep the Phillies or vice versa. And then if there is a game 4, I would stay for game 4 on Thursday. The CS, I don't know I would say if I go, we can talk. Yes. Okay. Absolutely.
Because
I just don't know. I mean, it's the average ticket price right now in Tampa for the playoff game between the Rays and the Rangers is like $32.
Yeah.
The average ticket price in Philadelphia right now, the average ticket price is $190. So, I mean, the stadium draws 42,000 people, and to your point, they are rabid people. It is. If you're one of them, if you're a fan of that team, it's the greatest place on earth. It's better than Disney World to me. It's better than the Wildcat. It's better than anything. Being in that stadium during a Philadelphia Phillies playoff game is just an experience that I don't know. I loved it last year when I was fortunate enough to be able to do it, and I loved it. I'd love to repeat it this year. But yes, Danny, we can talk. Would you wear Diamondback stuff?
In Philadelphia?
Yeah.
So I feel like
hypothetically, both our teams get that far. Would you wear your Corbin Carroll jersey or your Randy Johnson jersey or whatever you have, and your Diamondbacks hat and everything else? Would you wear all that?
I don't see how I couldn't, but I also know it's the city of brotherly hate. So what I would say, Danny, is because I got your muscle with me, I think I might do it. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this, and I love you, but if you wore it and the Diamondbacks won, you're on your own, buddy.
That's fair enough. I think I've gotten better at my running, so I think I can run pretty fast, faster than drunk people. I would like to hope, since I can run in a straight line, and they said they tend to swerve. But final note here: why should people come out to the Wildcat tonight and throughout the baseball postseason? I know why, but I want to hear it from the owner why they should come out and get themselves a nice seat today for the postseason.
Well, I think we put out a good product. I think the food is very good. I'm not saying that because I own it. I'm sure a lot of people think I'm programmed to say that. Our pizza is very good. We're in the running for Syracuse.com's top 5 pizza places. Our wings, same thing, top 5 running for wings. Our wings are delicious. We're also in the top 5 for best bar in the whole area, which is a huge honor. I mean, whether we win these or not, I don't know. But it's still an honor to be nominated for those 3 things. I think the staff is friendly, engaging, the bar staff, the counter staff. It's a nice environment just to hang out, watch sports, spend time with family, talk, listen to live music. And that's what we've tried to cultivate. And it goes back to the whole team thing. Like, to me, the Phillies are a team. Okay, the Phillies have the it. You watch them play. They're fun to watch. They support each other when they're high. They support each other when they're low. I like to think the Wildcat is the same. I'm not comparing us to the Phillies by any stretch, but the way we try to enable our coworkers and support staff and everything, that's kind of, there's no I, right? We all work together. And if you haven't been there, I would appreciate you checking it out. Seek me out. I'm there a lot. Just ask for Dan. I'd love to talk baseball with you, or I don't know much about football or any other sport, but I can talk baseball with you. So, no, come on out. If you're a Phillies fan, come on out. Last year we had a handful of Phillies fans come out. There's not really a Phillies bar in Syracuse that I know of.
Yeah.
So we actually went out and bought hoodies, Philadelphia Rocktober hoodies for our staff, or Rock October, whatever it says. So those should be delivered this weekend. So let's say they get past the Marlins, all the employees will be wearing Phillies hoodies. That's going to be part of their dress code this weekend.
Yeah, so, nice. I like, see, it must be nice as an owner to be like, hey, this is what you guys have to wear. You can dress down, but this is what you're wearing. I mean,
I am not a dress code person, believe me. I've had my fill of dress codes in other jobs, but but the hoodie thing, and of course they know, the Phillies do well, then Dan's, genuinely happier, which is a good thing. So, yeah. You and I wouldn't be talking right now if the Phillies lost last night, right? I mean, I'd be miserable right now. So, it's pretty sad that a sports team can do that to you.
Well, and the thing, I remember one of the, I forget what it was, but what game it was, but you had your Phillies hat on, which you can tell you've worn for like 100 years. And you had the hat on, you were walking by, shorts on, boots. If you know Danny, he's always in boots, on the beach, boots. And so you walked by the stage, and I said something to you, and I think the Phillies had lost. And the look on your face and the way that you were as you walked by in the boots, I was like, yeah, I feel like I'm just going to let him have a few minutes to himself, and then I'll re-engage. But it was funny because I'm sitting here thinking like, hey, let's talk about our teams tomorrow morning no matter what, right? I'm a glass half full kind of guy. And Danny texts me back and he says, as long as we win, I'll be on the show tomorrow morning. So he had a stipulation, but, get blessings to both teams. They obviously took care of business. The Diamondbacks kept threatening to score runs and got those last couple in to win 6-3. The Phillies were able to handle business and hold on there without too much trouble going up against the Marlins yesterday. The games are going to go on tonight. They're your nightcap, so they'll start at 7 o'clock for the Diamondbacks and shortly after for the Phillies. Hopefully both of our teams can give us the same type of night that we had last night, give us the positivity. And, the more the Phillies keep winning, the more you guys get to hear Danny's sultry voice on Wake Up Call in the morning. So thank you, Mr. Thome, for all you do, and my best to your team and to my team today and throughout. I'm hoping that we can celebrate tonight.
I'm hoping so, too. And then, the Braves and the Dodgers would await both of us, which would be interesting matchups.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and back to divisional matchups if they are to happen. So with that being said, Danny Thome, the owner of the Wildcat Sports Pub. Danny, as always, I appreciate it, and you're a perfect segue to the rest of the day because fantasy football is coming up, brought to you by the Wildcat. So shameless plug again for a fantastic place. I'll second you that the pizza, pepperoni, and sausage, I've become like the guy that gets the same thing, and I go to the Wildcat with my buddy Isaac. We get the same pizza, typically on the weekend, pepperoni and sausage, because you guys do it well. So thanks for the work that you do. Shout out to your staff, and I hope that I can sneak in a Diamondbacks sweatshirt because it's also red. So I'm going to see if I can kind of slide one in there at some.
That's deceitful. I like that, though. That's good. I like that.
All right, Danny, I look forward to talking with you soon.
All right, man. I'll see you. Thanks.
Take care.